All right, this is 49ers Talk, brought to you by Big O Tires. When it comes to tires, they're the pros, and they back it up with the lowest tire price guarantee. Set an appointment at bigotires.com and drive away knowing you got the best deal on the road with the team you trust, Big O Tires. All right, Jennifer Lee Chan is en route to Indianapolis, where the 49ers and the Colts meet on Monday Night Football. Colts are on a 4-game losing streak. The 49ers on a 4-game winning streak. And so this is a very important game for both teams. And, of course, the storyline, Phillip Rivers, old man Rivers at 44 years old, a father of 10 and a grandfather, will be taking on the 49ers. And the 49ers released their injury report right before they stepped on their plane to head to Indianapolis. And it consists of 2 starters who will be out for this game. Ricky Pearsall had the ankle injury with the hip drop tackle. By the way, Kevin Winston, the rookie Tennessee Titans defensive back, was fined $23,000 for that illegal maneuver, which was not penalized during the game, but the NFL fined him. But it's more the knee, I think, with Pearsall, an aggravation of the posterior cruciate ligament. So he will remain back in the Bay Area, rehabbing, physical therapy, in hopes that he can get back on the field for the Week 17 game, 49ers and the Chicago Bears. So Ricky Pearsall is ruled out of this game, as well as Renardo Green. Renardo Green's had this kind of nagging neck condition, and he did practice this week, but the 49ers ultimately decided to hold him out, see if he can get that thing rested and rehabbed and ready for the stretch run as well as the postseason. So more than likely, the 49ers will turn to Darrell Luter to start at cornerback in place of Renardo Green. And then also Yetur Gross-Matos, more than likely, will be activated for the game on Monday night. The 49ers opened a roster spot on Saturday when they placed Nick Martin on injured reserve. So that knocks him out for the final 3 games of the regular season and also the first game of the playoffs, unless, of course, the 49ers have the number 1 seed. Well, actually, no, it'll be 4 games, so there is a chance that he could be back in the playoffs. But with Nick Martin, very concerning. He had the concussion from the Cleveland Browns game, hadn't cleared through. This week, I saw him on the practice field working with the team's strength and conditioning staff, but which means that at that point he was symptom-free. But the understanding is that he has been symptom-free, but then when he gets back out and tries to do some athletic or aerobic activity, he starts experiencing those symptoms again. So the 49ers decide to shut him down and put him on injured reserve. So 49ers have this game coming up against the Indianapolis Colts. 49ers are 10-4. And if they win on Monday night, they would move into the number 5 spot in the NFC playoff pecking order. And they would also guarantee themselves of a playoff position. The other way they can do it would be later Sunday when the Lions play the Steelers. If the Lions lose, the 49ers are automatically in as well. So we got a good episode here of 49ers Talk to get you set for kickoff. We heard from Kyle Shanahan as we talk about Brock Purdy and Jawan Jennings and George Kittle and Trent Williams, as well as some of the challenges that the 49ers face in going up against the Indianapolis Colts. So it's a nice, fun conversation with Kyle Shanahan, with also some nuts and bolts football in there as well, of course. And then Greg Papa, what an amazing story. The voice of the 49ers has been sidelined this season as he battles cancer, but he is doing very well physically. And of course, he's always willing to talk football, and his face lights up when he talks football. So we'll talk plenty about where the 49ers are right now. But Greg Papa also delivers some great news about a return to the broadcast booth, Week 17, Sunday Night Football, when the 49ers play the Bears. But first, let's get you going here on 49ers Talk. Kyle Shanahan and I sit down every week for the 49ers game plan interview, basically the equivalent of the coaches show here. And we talk all things 49ers. So strap in and get set. Here is Kyle Shanahan getting you set for kickoff, the 49ers and the Indianapolis Colts, and also where the 49ers stand right now in the playoff picture. As we said, they control their own destiny with 3 games left in the regular season. All right, first off, Kyle, the Rams and Seahawks played an absolutely epic game on Thursday night with huge NFC West implications and NFC playoff implications as well. How much of that game were you able to watch?
I got to see the fourth quarter and overtime. You know, it was a Wednesday for us, which usually means we don't really have the time to watch it, but I heard too many people screaming down the hallway, so I turned it on, and it was intense and couldn't look away. It was a cool football game, real fun to watch.
Are you able to watch that as a coach or as a fan? Like, are you watching coverages? Like, how do you watch a game?
I'm watching it more as a fan. You know, I'm not watching cover. I mean, I watch coverage a little bit. That's how I watch football, but just the TV angle is not that same. So you don't try to overthink it that way, but you just watch certain players and you try to enjoy the game.
So now you guys and the Seahawks control your own destiny for the rest of the season. Is this something that you've addressed with the team, or do you plan to talk about that with the team?
No, it's not something I've addressed. I mean, I think everyone knows it. There's so much information out with people's phones and stuff, and everyone talking about it, that I'm sure they realized watching that game too that was the case. But to address it with 3 games left, to me, is kind of doesn't make much sense. You know, we control our own destiny right now. But in order to continue that, we got to win on Monday. We got to win the following Sunday. And then I can talk about it going into week 17, if that's the case for Seattle, to where, hey, this game right here means this next week or this next week. So, but until then, to me, it's irrelevant.
Yeah. Okay, so the big storyline Monday night, of course, Phillip Rivers, unretired, coming to play quarterback for the Colts. As you see it, what's the biggest challenge for somebody in his position? Is it the physical side of it, or is it the mental side of it, being away from the game for so long?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything, but I mean, more than anything, it would be the physical side. I mean, just being away from the game for 5 years, being at that age, to come back and get hit like that, and to be in an impactful game like that, to where, I mean, you just go from 0 to 100. Can your body take that? Is it moving too fast? And that's why not many people do something like that. I don't know if anyone's ever taken 5 years off and come back at 44, 45 or whatever. But if anybody could do it, it's him. When you think of the size he has, how big he is in that pocket, and also how quick he can get rid of the ball. That's how he was in his when he played. You know, he was elite at getting rid of the ball. And when you have that age, it's, you know, your legs aren't going to save you. But one thing about Phillip was, you know, even when he was midway through his career, his legs didn't save him very much. It was the size that he had and being able to have that quick arm and get rid of it. And, you know, as you get older, maybe that velocity or the distance might not be there, but he still has the quick twitch and can get rid of it any time. And I think he's about 6'5" and 3/4, but I mean, he looks 7 feet tall in that pocket, and he looks about 250 pounds. So he's got the size to handle some of those hits.
Do you think with Robert Saleh as defense coordinator, does he look at just that game against Seattle last week, or does he take into account the entire breadth of his career?
No, well, just look at that game. If you watch the entire breadth of his career, you're going to have way too many nightmares. You got to know, at least hope he's not that guy. Because that guy is the best, at least up there with the best of all time. And it definitely can't be that exact same way. But we got 1 game to go off of him. He did a hell of a job playing, gave their team a very good chance to win. And we got to make sure he doesn't do that to us Monday night.
So Colts running back Jonathan Taylor leads the NFL in rushing. So when you're going up against a player like him with an offensive line that's good, does your defense, your front seven, is it the individual matchups, or is it just executing the defensive scheme as a whole that's kind of your major challenge?
It's both. I mean, the scheme, you got to switch up. I mean, their O-line's too good, their running back's too good, their receivers are too good, and how they block, their tight ends. And then they have, you know, one of the best running backs to play in the last few years. So if you think you're going to do that with just scheme or individual matchups, you're going to be in trouble. Anytime you want to stop the run, it's about 11 people. So you got to go in with that mindset, understanding how good they are. They're going to have some of theirs. Schematically, we got to switch a lot of stuff up, because scheme-wise and personnel-wise, they'll eventually tee off on you and get you an advantage because of how talented they are. So we do have to mix stuff up. But you also gotta make some plays. You gotta have guys get to the ball. You gotta tackle well. You can play a perfect scheme and everyone can beat their individual matchup, and then just one guy slides off his legs and everyone else is in a different gap, and this guy will go 80 like that. You know, he's, I think, second in the league in explosive runs. He has that legit 4.3 speed with size, and I think he's got 280-yarders right now, and he can make you pay very fast.
Your own quarterback, Brock Purdy, he's put together some very strong games after that Monday night game against Carolina. He seems to be playing with a lot of swag and a lot of confidence and a lot of fun. How important is that as a sign of things are starting to click for him?
I think it's a sign because that's kind of how Brock is. Brock. I mean, Brock is a quiet guy. He is very reserved and stuff, but he's always like that to a degree on the field. I think when he came in right away in the preseason, when he was a third-string quarterback trying to make the team, when he came in when Jimmy got hurt, that was kind of something about him always, like his personality when he makes plays. Guys get to see him celebrate. Guys get to see him kind of show his personality because he's quiet most of the other time. So guys have always got a kick out of it. A lot of guys didn't hear him talk until he started playing. When he started playing, they were like, wow, I didn't know he had that in him. And I know he did the Dougie, which got a lot of attention a few weeks ago, and I didn't know during the game, but he did it again last week. So I don't know if we'll keep doing that, but it's brought out a lot, and he's having fun.
So NFL Films had you mic'd up, and they caught you at one point in the game against Tennessee telling him, so proud of you right there, Brock. What was the situation that prompted that kind of response from you?
Oh, that was sarcasm. I was trying to piss him off. We have an easy, quick play to juice in the flat, where it's just a plan and throw him. It's designed to really get 3 yards, and you might turn it up and get more. And the last 5 times I've called it, he's bypassed him and trying to gone for a deeper one. So we just been giving him crap for a long time that he can't hit a guy in the flat quickly. And then he did it, and I said that just to piss him off so he could flip me off kind of subtly. But it was awesome. He did it. It was 2nd and 6. Just got a 7-yard gain, and we said we were proud of him.
Are you looking at him while you're saying that to him? Are you seeing his reaction?
Yeah.
What was his
He's too far away, but I know he's rolling his eyes. So it's cool, though. We were glad he did it, and sometimes when you piss guys off, they do it more. So that was the ultimate goal.
All right. So Jauan Jennings, he's tied for 2nd in the NFL since week 9 with 6 touchdown receptions. What has he done? How has he stepped up and really set the tone for that wide receiving core?
Jauan just being himself. His personality, guys really gravitate to. He's always so upbeat. I called him for a while here, our team mascot. I called KB that before KB left, and then Jauan kind of replaced him with our new team mascot because he was so upbeat and everything, trying to earn a role on the team and stuff. Now we're overloaded with them, with a couple of those guys, Chase Lucas. Just really upbeat guys. But I think Jauan I think it's been really his toughest year and things he's had to battle through. He's had some legit injuries throughout this year where he hasn't had to miss a lot of time, but he's had to play at much less than 100% for a while. So I think just having a young group, guys really earning respect, watching how he's gone about it every week to be able to get to Sunday, to be able to go out there and still help us win even when he hasn't been at his best. And it's been cool to watch him fight through it because I think he's got there in these last couple of weeks, and it's been cool to get him in the end zone so people could also see that.
Yeah, that wide receiving core looks like it's a pretty good group. You mentioned Jennings and Ricky Pearsall and Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson and the others. They had their handshakes, they had their dances. Can you see that bond in the wide receiver room carry over to practices and games?
Yeah, no doubt. There's a real good vibe in that room. They're all good dudes. They all genuinely like each other. None of them have really many bad days. If you ever walk in that room while they're meeting, they're just laughing and making fun of each other the whole time and having fun. And when you bring them in with the quarterbacks, the tight ends, O-line, it brings a good energy to everybody. It's not always like that, but it's been a real special group this year.
You guys haven't played in Indianapolis since the 5th game of 2017. And in that game, George Kittle had his first touchdown reception. What did you see from him, even in those early stages, that he's been able to kind of build on to become the perennial Pro Bowl player that he's become?
Well, George, it was so unique because you rarely get a 5th-round draft choice that comes in, and you can see in OTA 1 how talented he is. George, to be as explosive as he is and as he was and still is, and to have the size he has, that's just not normal for a 5th-round draft choice. So we knew right away that this guy really was one of our best players the day he came in. And what was so cool about it, he didn't have many passes in college and stuff, so you couldn't see a lot with the ball. You could see him run blocking things, but I thought that rookie year he started to do it to where he was breaking tackles, and he got better at breaking tackles as the year went, to where he, by the end of the year, I thought he was one of the best I've been around at breaking tackles, and that led him into the 2018 year where he had the best year of all time with yards and stuff, and really took off and just really separated himself from other guys I've been around in terms of running through people and turning, a 10-yard play into a 30-yard play, and he's still doing it 10 years later.
It's interesting. I remember in Indianapolis, of all places, for the combine that next year, when both you and John Lynch talked about how he had to stay healthy. He had to do more to get his body right. And he did that. I mean, was that a big emphasis for him after that rookie year?
Well, yeah, it's huge. I mean, anytime you got a guy that explosive who plays the way he does, you're going to get banged up. And can you get ready for the next week, especially at a tight end position? And George just, I think he had it to a degree before he got here. I know how dedicated his dad is and how close they've been with that stuff throughout their lives. But just watching him, like how he works in the off season, how he does it on a 7-day week to get ready for Sunday. And we got a few special guys like that, but they're different than a lot of people I've coached. It's the biggest ones. You got George, you got Fred, you got Juice, you got Christian. But those guys who are obsessed about every little thing that they put in their body, everything they do from sleeping to eating to working to recovery, and that's why they're all still playing at a high level.
Speaking of somebody like that, Trent Williams, 37 years old, and I don't know if you pay attention to the PFF grades, but they had him rated as his best game ever, grade-wise, against the Tennessee Titans. So you coached him as a rookie too. Help us out here. What are we seeing with this guy? Why has he been able to play at such a high level for so long?
Well, one, he's one of the more talented people to play the game. They don't make people like Trent. My first year as a coordinator, I had Dwayne Brown, who was a first-round pick, who was unbelievably talented. And I went to Washington, and it was Trent. Then I went to Cleveland, and it was Joe Thomas. Then I went to Atlanta, and it was Matthews, another top 5 pick. Then I came here, and it was Joe Staley. So I've been very fortunate with some very talented tackles. But when it comes to just talent, like Trent's not comparable to anybody in terms of just running, jumping, his size, his power. I believe Trent, out of all those people, is the one who could also be a Pro Bowl 3 technique. That's the type of power he has in him. And he's 37 years old, and I don't see him lift very much, but we get back from the bye week, and he's just in there squatting 500 pounds like it's nothing. The dude is different. And for him to be this age and to still have that type of ability is unbelievable. And he loves football, which I think is unique about him. Trent has his own way of working. Like, he knows how to get himself ready. And the fact that he's still doing it at 36, and I think he's learned some more things in his last couple of years that he didn't do when he was younger. Watching what he eats, things like doing all the red light, doing the recovery things and stuff like that. He's kind of just gotten into that the last couple of years, which is amazing how much he had done before that. But just watching him get in these last couple of years, I can see him feel better and stuff. And I think this year is as good as any other. So I wouldn't agree with PFF in terms of that was his best game ever. But I would agree that was a hell of a game, but he's had a lot of good ones.
Okay, so your offense really excelled at controlling the ball and chewing up clock. 32 drives this season for your offense of 10 plays or more. And out of those 10-play drives, scored a league-high 139 points. Is this a coincidence, or is this how this offense is built?
Yeah, I think that's how we are. Like, it's the key is scoring those points. I would much rather do it in one play than 10 plays. But it's really what we've become and how we win games. We might not have quite the same speed we've had other years. So I don't think we have as many long plays, as many as explosives as we have in the years past. But whatever we've lost with that, I think we replaced with more consistency. And I think we got some really good football players who know how to move the chains, who know how to stay on the field, and know how to get in that end zone. And you always want to score faster, just so there's not as many variables that go into a deal. But when you got the type of guys that we have, it shows you that we're capable of scoring no matter how we do it.
So one of the challenges facing your team here, your offense, is going up against DeForest Buckner. I know that every year you're faced with difficult decisions, but just looking back on it after that 2019 season, how tough was it to part ways with DeForest and send him to the Colts?
Oh, that was one of the toughest. It was one that you never want to have to do. And we've had some tough decisions since then. But I would say that was the toughest because it wasn't something that you had to do, but it was something that was the right thing. And it had nothing to do with DeForest. He is that good of a player. And gosh, I wish he was still here. But we were so well aware of where our team was and how many young guys that we did have. And what we felt like we were going to be like over the next 4 or 5 years. And how we wanted to keep competing for that Super Bowl. and having to trade Buck sucked so bad. Getting a first-round pick, being able to sign a couple Pro Bowl players too because of it, really balanced us out and allowed us to carry some things. But man, I wish we didn't have to do that because Buck was that good of a player and even a better human.
Okay, so you're playing Monday night in the Eastern time zone. You haven't done that a whole lot, but it's an 8:15 start in Indianapolis. How do you budget your time? And it makes for a really long day. How big of a challenge is it for you and the players just to wait all day long for that late kickoff?
It's a challenge. I try to sleep as long as possible. I mean, I try to keep going back to bed because if I get there and I start going, like my mind starts moving too much, and then you look up and you're ready and you realize you're still 5 hours away. So I try to sleep as long as possible. Try to sleep till lunch. You're not going to get much sleep the next day. We usually arrive back at like 4 a.m. and it's already Tuesday, and we got to get ready to play Chicago that Sunday. So you got to go straight to work. You got to start getting on the game plan right away. So I know the only sleep I'm really going to get after is on that plane. So I try to get about 12 hours of sleep the day before, and that's the goal really. Can't always do it. But when I do get up, I usually review a couple things on film at the hotel. I usually look at rewatch the red zone, rewatch the strike zone, do some of my calls, and then after that, it's my same routine. I always try to get to the stadium 5 hours before kickoff, kind of do the process for 3 hours and deal with some stuff with the players, and it's time to go.
Red zone and strike zone?
Yeah. Strike zone is 30 to 13. So our red zone is inside the 13-yard line. That's where we really count it. But then everything else is kind of that strike zone area, which I know everyone considers red zone 20 to 20 in. Ours is 13 in, where the coverages really change. But from like the 30 to 13, you want to see how defenses changed also, because there's some different elements on what you can hit.
Okay, so with that game, the Rams Seahawks on Thursday, you have this game coming up on Monday. It's all about taking care of business. So what is the formula for success against this Colts team?
Well, one thing about them is we got to stop the run. I mean, they're running the ball that well. It's very documented that they brought Phillip Rivers in, and the best thing that a quarterback like that can have is a running game, and they got a very good one, if not the best one. So we have to stop that and make them one-dimensional. If we do that, I think we got a good chance. When I look at the offensive side, they got a really good defense. It's been hurt not having their two corners in, which we'll see if they get them back. I know Mooney won't. They could get Sauce back. I know they're getting Buck back, which will help them. They're probably the best team in the league in stopping the run, which I know if we go out and just throw the ball against them, that's what they want you to do. You have to be able to run the ball versus a really tough run defense to balance it out so you don't turn the ball over. And if we can't do that, then I know we'll be able to score points and not turn it over, and that'll give us the best chance to win.
All right, Kyle. Well, enjoy your night of sleep Monday afternoon.
Thank you.
And good luck on Monday.
Thanks, Matt.
We are back on 49ers Talk, brought to you by Toyota, class-leading MPG and more hybrid models than any other brand. Toyota, let's go places. And this is a very special Ask Papa segment because Greg Papa, the voice of the 49ers, you've never stopped being the voice of the 49ers, Greg, but you will officially be back in the booth for week 17, and that is absolute fantastic news. Congratulations.
Yes, Bob Sargent. I won't even call him my boss. He's a brother to me, familia. Activated me. They opened up my practice window. So whoever had the bet, who would come back first, GP or BA? I guess I got. I never thought that was going to happen. I thought Ayuk would be on fire before me. He's just on fire now. So, yeah, we're coming back, and it's. You've been there every step of the way, Matt. One of the first times I opened up about my condition, leukemia, was with you on Last Papa, and the outpouring of love and support from you and everybody who watches this and everybody you come into contact with. You've connected me with a lot of people that have given me some great advice and how I get better, and I am better. I've been in remission, MRD negative, since late August. I've stayed that way. I had my bone marrow transplant delayed. If that would have gone on as planned in mid-November, I would not be coming back, but I had to have that delayed. I got a little heart genetic problem. But Tuesday, I got good news, and my echocardiogram for my heart came back. It's not quite back where we can reschedule the transplant, but it improved enough. And if it improves that much over the next cycle, then we will be able to plan the transplant. But the big news was my meeting with my hematologist, Dr. Aaron Logan at UCSF. And you and I get to cover some great teams in the Bay Area, brilliant minds and big compassionate hearts. I think UCSF could beat them all in any sport, anything you want to play. And basically the most important life endeavor, and that is saving people's lives. And they did it with the brilliant minds and compassionate heart, and they saved me. And they got me back to where I am healthy enough physically, mentally, spiritually to do this. And I wasn't for a long time, but I am now. So I'm going to do it. And it'll be the last 2 home games of the year. And then we'll see what the playoffs bring us as far as where they go. So, I was pretty convinced that I can do it when I met with Dr. Logan on Tuesday. And he said, I can't think of any reason why you can't do it. I may call him later in the week. I'm going to see him next week. And I got one reason why. Watching that Seahawks-Rams game on Thursday night wore me. I mean, literally, I got dizzy at the end of the game, and I had to sit down. It wasn't like the 49ers were playing, but didn't it feel like the 49ers were playing? And what that game meant for the 49ers' chances to do it. I mean, the Super Bowl's in that stadium. And if you're the number 1 seed, you get the biggest advantage outside of your St. Mary's Gales and the WCC, where you go all the way to Vegas in the championship round. Like, how'd that happen? You guys just show up and go right to the championship? But to be, it's only one team gets the number 1 seed. The last few years, it was double, buys for teams, 1 and 2. It's 1 huge advantage for this team to get reset again, come out of another bye. They had the bye in the regular season late in the year, and then there's going to be a lot of good competition. You may have to beat Seattle. You may have to beat the Rams, over again to do this. But you win those games at home, then you're hosting a game called the Super Bowl, which is just incredible. And that game on Thursday night, I think the Rams were the better team for almost the entire game. They had over 500 yards of offense. They were a +3 in the turnover margin, but that teaches you a lesson. The best team doesn't always win, and Seattle was able to figure it out later. So now it's there. Win in Indy on Monday night, beat the Bears, and that'll be the game that I come back for, the first one, December the 28th on Sunday Night Football. And then if that battle with Seattle is as big as we think it's going to be, the Niners are going to be on Sunday Night Football back-to-back weeks. That'll be undeniably game number 272 in the regular season this year, and the most important one. That'll be who decides who wins the West and who's the number 1 seed in the NFC if these teams continue on the path they're on now.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is entirely possible, if not likely, that 3 of the 4 teams standing at the end in the NFC divisional round are NFC West teams. So my question to you on Ask Papa is, what do the 49ers have to keep going, and what do they have to improve upon to make it through these final 3 games of the regular season in the spot they want to be in going into the playoffs?
30 for Purdy. Since Brock has come back, they're averaging 31 points a game. And they scored, 5 of their 6 possessions and 4 to open the game. I mean, they only had the one where Brock fumbled the ball that they didn't score. They didn't punt into the ball. So once they get on that kind of run, so Mac Jones did a great job early in the year. There's no doubt. The first 10 games, he won 5 of them, 5-3, and Brock was 1-1. They were the number 1 passing team in pro football minus Brock Purdy. It's amazing. They were number 1 in yards per game. But this is about scoring touchdowns and points. That's why I get so excited when they score one. And it's touchdown. That's what it's about. And they only average 22 points a game. Since Brock has been back going 4-0, it is 31 points per game. Now, is that enough in light of what the defense is doing? Which we'll get to that side. They also got to improve the running game, obviously. But Brock in the passing game, you want to get Ricky Pearsall back and healthy at some point, Matty. But I think the offense can score 30 for Purdy just about every game.
Let me ask you this. For the longest time, I thought, the running game's there. It's always been there. It'll be there. It'll come around. Now we're talking about a large sample size. So is it possible? I mean, is the 49ers running game that we've seen through 14 games just what it's going to be, or are the elements still there for them to be the kind of running team that we've become associated with the Kyle Shanahan team being?
The elements are there. You see it every once in a while, but it's not consistent for whatever reason. It's just not. You still have Kyle Juszczyk, an offensive weapon. You have George Kittle. You obviously have McCaffrey. You've got Trent Williams. The O-line is starting to get a little push now. We'll see about Spencer Burford and whether or not he's healthy enough to play at left guard. But the elements are there. You got Jawan Jennings back. The wide receivers are blocking better. So it should be there, but it's not been there. I just think teams make it a real priority to load the box and shut down the 49ers staple of what they do. When you think of Shanahan, you think of Mike and Alex Gibbs and Kyle and Chris Furster and the sophisticated angle, running game. And they're just, they're hitting McCaffrey too close to the line of scrimmage. So I'm not sure, but they can win without it. They've shown that. Mm-hmm. Now, on the other side of it, what do they need to do? When teams are not good in pro football, they can't run the ball and they can't stop the run. Mm-hmm. This team is, I'm not going to say they can't run the ball because McCaffrey's still on pace for 1,000 yards and he scores a lot of touchdowns and they're scoring a lot of points, but we know they're not running the way they should. But the run defense, the defense overall is going to be, it's going to be on display in these playoffs, assuming they get there. Even at home, they're just the strength of this team is the offense.
Well, Greg, even the run defense, which you just talked about, that'll be on display Monday night against
Jonathan Taylor's. When Kyle said he runs a 4.3 40, I was like, what? He's 226 pounds. I don't see him as a fast back, but I do remember vividly a pair of 80-yard runs that guy had. One, I think they were in Berlin playing Atlanta, and he started to the right, and he got all congested. He kind of lost him, and then he came out of it. He wound up cutting back left, gets down the sideline. He went 83 yards for a touchdown, and I'm like, is somebody going to push him out of bounds? No one? You can't get an angle on him? So 4.3 at 200, he doesn't look like he's moving that fast. But he is, and he has great vision. He moves fast, but he's not in a hurry. This guy's a tremendous running back. And then Tony Pollard came in on Sunday, Tajay Sharp. They ran all over the Niners. What they basically did was knock out the three technique, the two inside tackles, and they did it with a lot of different types of blocks, but a lot of what they call duo blocks, where you have two double teams. Where a guard or in center, another guard and a tackle or a tight end, they combination, and they run double team blocks twice. It's a duo scheme. They knocked out the inside guys. The linebackers did not fill and flow. They got them moving side to side. Curtis Robinson just was a no-show in the game. He got pushed around. He's been a big disappointment to me. I thought he would be better. I really felt like he would get his chance to play at some point. But I think he's over the ACL problem, Matt, but it's just not showing. He played well in Cleveland. After that, he's not. And then they were able to turn the corner, and the corners didn't tackle well. Diamador Lenore got picked on a lot in that game. So it was a problem against Tennessee. That's not a great running team. It's going to be a huge problem against Jonathan Taylor. Chicago's got a pair of running backs you got to deal with. Seattle's running game has not been good, but the combination of K9 and Charbonnet had a huge game on Thursday night. It's a problem. So you got to stop the run. You got to stop biting and just busting in the secondary, whether they're playing cover 4 or cover 3. You've got to marry up that coverage. We've seen that the Gunnar Helm touchdown. D. Winters did not get deep enough on that play. There was no safety help over the top. The post route, he got beat on by Van Jefferson. Malik Mustafa got there, but a little bit late, and he couldn't make a play on the ball. And where's Demo's eyes? You let the guy run right by you. And on the other side, Renardo Green, Van Jefferson, we always called him when he was a Ram, Van Go, because he would run go routes. He's a fast, straight line guy. He ran a sluggo, a slant and go. He gave you one look to the slant, and Renardo bit on it, and he ran right by him. He went Van Go. They got lucky. Cam Ward overshot that ball, wound up going on the sideline. If that's Phillip Rivers on Monday night, that's a touchdown. So the defense has got to shore up a lot. And you're not going to make major changes in the secondary. You're going to get healthier in the D line when Gross Matos and Okawanu come back. But I think the structural change that they could turn to is the linebacking level. And Eric Kendricks is starting to get healthier. I thought maybe he would play last week against Tennessee, but he had a tight calf, and I think it was pretty bad. So we'll see.
It's a grade one calf grade.
Yeah, so you probably know more than I, being in the building there. But I mean, my hope, and I think we'll see. This guy's played a lot of football. He was the starting Mike linebacker for Mike Zimmer's defense for 9-10 years. Went to the Chargers for a year. We saw him last year in Dallas. He is a middle linebacker, green dot wearer. He can play other spots. My thought would be, and a lot of these teams are getting the Niners, whether it's the big nickel with Pinnock or the regular nickel with Upton Stout, they're still able to run. They're getting you into this smaller version of a nickel package and running. And so I think ultimately the Niners need to put 3 linebackers on the field. You need 3 sturdy linebackers. I don't know how you want to line them up, but to me, the 3 that you ultimately want to get to are Eric Kendricks, Tatum Bethune, and D. Winters.
Yeah,
those are the 3 guys you want. I don't know who would be the Mike. Would it be Kendricks and you move Bethune, or let Bethune, call the defense with the green dot and move Kendricks over? I don't know how that would work. But to me, I think that's where you got to go to, especially, Matt, if you do see the LA Rams in January with all the 13 personnel they're running, when they have 3 tight ends on the field. You got to have guys to cover them, and you got to have people that can stop the run. They will run out of that 3 tight end formation. So if you're lining up, Pinnock is a safety. They're running on him. Upton Stout's a tough guy. He can stick his nose in there, but look at how undersized he is and little. He's more effective when he's coming downhill at you. If you get somebody to go get him like a tight end and just pick, you can block him. You're going to have to get a little sturdier to push back. So it's a lot of different things. Getting healthy on the D line, I think making changes in the linebacker level, but they've got to figure out a way to stop the run.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would think that the reason they would have brought Kendricks in, because he's worn that green dot throughout his career, is for that reason. Yeah. And it seems to me like good communicator, obviously knows the game very well. If you don't put that green dot on him, you're not using him to his full capabilities. Right?
I don't think so, but I think he's played other spots. I think he's played Sam, the strong side, weak side, Will. You'd leave D where he is. And then can Tatum Bethune play the other spot? Or, do you want to play somebody else at Sam? Luke Gifford, I thought, would be a better player. He's been very good on special teams, but I saw him play Mike linebacker last year at Tennessee, the last 3 games of the year. And I thought he could come in and start, not over D. Winters probably, but he did. He was the 3rd linebacker when they went 3. They've kind of gotten away from that because they're using this big nickel, regular nickel. I think at some point you just got to put 3 linebackers on the field. So I'm with you. I agree with you with Kendricks being able to call it because he's a great communicator, and Tatum's kind of a new guy there. The question would be which one between Kendricks and Tatum could more easily, readily make the move to strong side linebacker. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask Johnny Holland or even Robert Saleh if there is a big difference in those positions. Obviously, the Mike's in the middle and you're calling the defense, so that's the difference. But outside of that, it's kind of like free safety, strong safety. You kind of rock and roll a little bit and you blur those spots. And really, they're all 3 off-the-ball linebackers.
Okay, so Phillip Rivers, I know you saw that game last week. He played against Seattle. He reminded me a little bit of Billy Kilmer with the wobbly passes.
Number 17.
That's we probably lost about 75% of our the people who tune in to 49ers Talk with that one. But I know the 49ers aren't taking him lightly. But do you really think at 44, being out of the game for nearly 5 years, that he can do anything to exploit the 49ers defense, or do they really need to generate the Colts need to generate that run game and get that going in order for the 49ers defense to not be able to handle Rivers, right?
Well, without a doubt, Jonathan Taylor's the secret to the game. Amir Abdullah, their other back, is a little like Tajay Sharp from Tennessee. He's a really good outlet. He'll run back their kickoffs, and he does catch the ball well out of the backfield. So, but Taylor's the key to the game, and they got a good offensive line. Their left guard, Quentin Nelson, is a Hall of Famer right now. He's basically playing with a gold jacket on. He's that good of a player. So Rivers is capable. I like the Billy Kilmer. You know, Billy had a little bit of a punch, a little bit of a pot belly, and he's got that a little bit. And Billy threw the ball kind of weird, kind of like Sonny Jurgensen. And Phillip has always had that low three-quarter little slingshot. But he's so smart, and he gets the ball out on time. The one thing I would like to see in football on television, in baseball, every single pitch, they tell you the velocity of the pitch, the type of pitch it is. And then if you want to watch the game with an app open, Baseball Savant or the MLB at-bat app, it'll give you a spin rate and all. You can look at it and see. Yeah. When I just watched Rivers, especially early in the game, the ball came out of his hand, left his hand, and reached the target. All you need is a little chip in the football. How far did he throw it? How long did it take to get there? I want to know the miles per hour.
Yeah, spin rate.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, because I would assume spin rate in football would be the equivalent of like a tight spiral, right? Or the higher spin rate.
They do have miles per hour. I remember Tom Brady one year throwing a ball into a tarp. And they do that at, the NFL Experience, the Super Bowl this year. Kids can do that. It's not so much like a speed pitch in baseball, but you can still do it. Whatever it is, Rivers looks like he's throwing nothing but change-ups over and over and over again. It's taken a little while. But that back shoulder he threw at the end of the game to Pierce down the left sideline to get him in field goal range where Blake Grupe could make that 60-yard field goal. That was classic Phillip Rivers. That was tight, and it was on time. I think he may even throw the ball better in this game. But I've seen him, forever in the AFC West, and he's just a great competitor, never backs down from a challenge. I love what he's doing. I love that he's doing this. He don't care if he looks foolish. I think he just wants to play. He just loves it.
Well, he also wants 5 more years of health care for his family.
Well, I'm sure the high school football team he's coaching in Alabama gives him that as well. And I don't know. He's got, what has he got, 10 kids and grandkids, and unbelievable. One thing he did do was slow his clock, and being a voter for the Hall of Fame. Do you think Phillip Rivers, if you were going to vote this year, now he's no longer there because he's out of retirement. I mean, he has thrown 422 touchdown passes, 6th all time. He has more than Dan Marino. He's thrown for over 63,000 yards, 7th all time. As far as wins, he's won 134 games, which is 9th all time. But I watched him play his entire career with the Chargers, and I thought he was a really good player, a Pro Bowl player, but I never thought I was watching a Hall of Famer. But when you get all done and you're 17 years in or whatever it is, and you play till age 39, you put up these numbers. As a Hall of Fame voter, is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Famer?
I think he might be. Yeah, I wasn't prepared to vote him all the way through this year. It depends on, what the class looks like in 5 years or 6 years when he's potentially up again. But, in this year's class, I think, the guys who definitely have my vote to go all the way through would be Breeze, Fitzgerald, Gore, Kuechly, and maybe Vinatieri. Those would be my 5 guys, I would think. I mean, I'm off the top of my head. I haven't.
I agree with you. And I think with Kuechly, he's waited his turn like Patrick Willis did.
Yeah, I think once Patrick made it, then I was fearful that Kuechly would make it before Patrick, and I didn't think that would have been fair. But Kuechly does have the NFL Defensive Player of the Year in his back pocket. But once Willis got in, once Patrick got in, it was like, okay, I have no issue with Kuechly getting in. He was great. He was Very similar.
Phenomenal player.
Yeah.
I remember, he had concussion problems. He does the Carolina Panthers radio now, so I run into him every once in a while. But I remember, and he suffered a concussion on the third play. But there were back-to-back plays that summarized. If you want to look at him when you go in to vote, I'll fire up the game for you. He had these consecutive plays where they blitz him, or I think he may have even green dogged himself. He just saw the back stay in, and he wasn't going to come out to cover him. So he just, shot the gap and sacked the quarterback. The next play, they ran a little toss, and he flowed like the Mike linebacker, scraped the whole way, shot in there, stuffed the play. And then the next play, he's playing like a Tampa 2, where the middle linebacker's got the deep middle like Brian Urlacher used to have. He turns and drops 20, 30 yards back in the secondary, goes up and knocks the ball away from the tie. It's like, what?
So you're saying
plays, that's it. And then on the fourth play, he got a concussion, and he was out of the game. So
I was going to say,
summarizes his career.
You're saying he could do it all.
He
could do it all. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah. Well, you know who else can do it all? That man right there, Greg Papa. Greg, just one more question about your health. You sound strong. Do you feel as good as you sound? And is there any, how do you have to manage yourself to call a 3-hour game with the energy that you call it?
And it's not, that's a big thing. So I think I'm strong enough to prepare for the game. And, this weekend, that's what I'm doing now. And I got to go back and redo all my 49er notes because I haven't done them because I didn't have a preseason this year. By the way, my regular season board is never going to look cleaner because I always took the preseason board into the regular season and then I tape all over it. And it was a mess. I was a serial killer. Now it's clean. It's pristine. I've got just the guys on the 53. It's perfect. So, but I've got to have the energy to sit at my desk and prepare like I do and watch video. And I do a lot of that for the radio show, but not like you're doing play-by-play. But to your point, the real challenge is going to be when the heart rate goes up. And I don't sit during games. I stand the entire game. So I felt fully confident that I could do it until that Rams-Seattle game went down on Thursday night. And I felt like I was watching a 49er game. And when the game finally ended and Eric Saubert caught the 2-pointer from Sam and they won 38-37, and maybe we will stay home for the playoffs and host the Super Bowl and the dream will be material. I had to sit down. I got like dizzy and I wasn't calling a game. So I'm going to have to, maybe I need a seatbelt to go into the game with on the 28th.
Did you feel like when Saubert caught that pass that it became real?
Well, when Shaheed ran that punt back, Rashid Shaheed, and they got the 2-pointer after that, I thought it's on now.
No, but I mean, just how it impacts the 49ers and what the future could hold for the 49ers.
No, I talked about it on my radio show all day Thursday. We had Steve Rabel on, the voice of the Seahawks. We treated like a 49ers pregame. You needed to win that game. If the Rams had won that game, the Rams are going to be the number 1 seed. It's going to be hard. Now you go to SoFi and beat them, but it'd be much easier to do it the way and then get the bye week off. But I watched that game like it was a 49er game. That's the kind of, I got depressed when Sam threw the pick 6 and, the zone blitz, he threw the ball to, who was that, Kobe Turner, and the conductor's making all these, and I'm just thinking the Rams are better. It's not going to happen. But then Sam got out of it, made enough plays, Smith and Jigba. Kenneth Walker had that touchdown run, and they got better on defense. They had 5 straight stops of the Rams' great offense in the fourth quarter. And Matthew Stafford took one shot right to the ribs. Nwosu hit him and drove him into the ground. You could see him. I don't know if he fractured something, a hairline fracture, or Brock Purdy had that when he first played that first game, start against Tampa. He wound up playing the next week, but Matthew Stafford was not the same. He made a lot of great throws, the touchdown pass to Puka Nacua in overtime, but he was not quite the same. He missed a lot of throws that he doesn't normally miss. And I wondered, is he able to throw the ball the same way? Because he took a shot right into the ribs. So we'll see what the impact on that's going to be.
Yeah. All right, Greg. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on Greg Papa. Outstanding news this week about your imminent return to the booth. And so we're definitely looking forward to that. And we'll have plenty to talk about next week on Ask Papa as you sink your teeth into your preparation for that game. But first one, Monday night, 49ers and the Colts. Thanks so much for tuning in to 49ers Talk, and we'll catch you next time.